I'm back with highly controversial developer on PulseChain, catcher of dips. What's going on? He's got a new thing. He's got a new quantum raffle. And by the end of this video, we're going to try to decide what's better, pump tires or quantum raffle. You guys like gambling, so here's some more gambling for you.
Okay.
Dip catcher, what's up?
What's up? Controversial.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Suggesting that inflation should go down. Highly controversial
How
take.
dare you?
Yeah.
Heresy.
liking lots of blockchains. Highly controversial.
You go first, scammer.
Oh yeah. God,
dirty
coins.
Well, let's talk about the origin address staking, I guess, because that's top of mind. The only reason that I'm still iffy, we got to wait 6 more days until the stake is over, because he only staked for 7 days, the origin address. And like, I get that it brings the APY down, but he would have to perpetually stake for 7 days every time, right? So do you think he's going to?
Maybe. I don't know why he I think maybe it's like kind of probing how that actually does impact the like, realized inflation that's coming out to people. I think it's kind of a like when Golke did some analysis on the stakes, and of all the stakes started in the last year, like some overwhelming majority of them were less than 40 days. And so there's like a really common use case is just kind of like farming short-term stakes for real-time yield, because you can get about comes out to about 1% a month. And if that's coming from a bag that's, $1 million, and maybe that bag was bought when the prices were 10 or 20 times lower, then, that's like a sweet income source. And that comes from the kind of the artificially high yield from the OA holding so much liquid. So maybe this is kind of a probe on that. He would have to have long-standing impact on the inflation. It would have to be repeated. I thought it was kind of funny. If you saw, he did a little test stake. There was a 1 hex stake followed by the 50 billion.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, it's funny. I laughed at that because like I can totally relate to like even it's like your own contract, like testing it, like just to make sure, probably testing to make sure that his front end he was using hadn't been compromised or something.
Right. He's probably like, oh, it's been a while.
Yeah. So that was probably the test there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it'll definitely have a short-term impact. Probably like there's kind of like a whole range of, and I think what I was calling for a couple of months ago, which actually people were furious with me for suggesting that the user-owned inflation is too high. Because if you there's a 3.69% annual like total like allocated inflation, and then about 1.5% actually gets realized per year, since it's like today's inflation is minted tomorrow, basically. But since the user-owned supply is only about 15%, you multiply that inflation by, or you divide that inflation by that percent, and so the inflation experienced by the users or by the market is closer to 11% per year, which is
the dumpable inflation, right? Like there's like origin address inflation. For people that don't know, let's backtrack. The origin address owns 90% of the hex. It is what it is. We don't need to go through the whole backstory, but for people that are new to hex, the origin address mostly lies dormant forever. At certain occasions, he's been known to help support the hex price by turning certain knobs. And we haven't seen him do anything for years until yesterday. And that's what we're talking about, which is pretty cool. All kinds of, reasons that people are coming up with. And that's where we're at right now. That's interesting because he did make those early signaling stakes, those super long-term stakes. So the origin address is also probably absorbing, you said 90%? The math?
So the OA owns about 90% of the supply. I used to say 85, but 85 to 90%. It's hard to tell in some cases. But it actually owns from early on something like 20 million T shares. Or so I'll have to in a tweet, I graphed all of it. So it does have a bunch of old stakes, which does help. If it didn't have those, then the inflation problem would be, larger. But all the like holding all the liquid coins, every liquid coin at Hex is emitting inflation. 3.69% of every coin goes into that inflation calculation. So those coins are, until yesterday, were sitting there emitting inflation, but not capturing it. And so since like generally, we view those OA coins as like not really active part of the market. Like, like no one thinks that those coins are going to be sold. So like the risk of concentrated supply isn't so much on the price from those coins being sold. It's more that those coins are not absorbing their own inflation. And so all the inflation is concentrated around the user owned supply. And that's the group that is just kind of high, like 11% is quite high.
Yeah.
And every day it gets worse due to big payday, and also kind of how the inflation's delayed. Now that it's 5 years old, we're like some of that inflation from years 1, 2, 3, and 4 is finally coming out. So it's like, today's inflation is delayed, but now we're experiencing yesterday's inflation too. So it kind of cancels out that property there. And since the big payday ones, longer pays better on those big payday stakes. And every day that goes by, there's more big payday stakes that are ending. And now all that Hex is now part of the inflation calculation. The inflation, it really is too high. Like there's really no way around it. And so I think that's what he's trying to do. You saw in his tweets, he's telling Vitalik to cut inflation. And so I think thinking the same thing. My solution to permanently reducing inflation and giving Hex like a tenthening. Hex has already had a tenthening on after big payday. The inflation cut, like the daily inflation cut by about 90%. But like if the OA was to set up a stake wrapper contract that could never end the stakes, and then run all of those stakes in tiny little increments. So do like thousands and thousands of max length stakes that are really small, so small that it doesn't make sense to run good accounting on all of them. What it could do is it could, one, basically burn all the Hex, two, generate a bunch of T-shares that are earning yield, but then can never mint the yield. And then since they're so small and can't be all good accounted, because good accounting costs the same amount as ending the stake, those T-shares would actually continue to earn yield, and then the penalty would never be distributed. So it could basically drastically cut the Hex inflation by staking in a way that prevents the stakes from ending and prevents them from being good accounted. So that's like the max solution. I don't think he'd go that far. I mean, maybe this is a start, a 7-day.
Because I think you would want those coins to be liquid in case of one day you're able to like reveal ownership, and then you can take out loans, and you can treat the Hex as like a real thing in the real world once global consciousness like all agrees that crypto is legit. Because
maybe because that would put those coins in like a saleable category. Right now I kind of view them as non-saleable, like because there's only so much. Like right now it's like there's only 10 or 20 million dollars of liquidity across Hex, and so that would be like the max extractable amount, and that's like peanuts if you have so much ETH from the Hex launch and so much ETH now from the sacrifice. And so I've always considered those coins to be forever just kind of there. And people always say that like, oh, he needs those coins in case there's something that needs to be solved. And I'm like, this is the thing that needs to be solved. Like there's really no other lever you can pull with the coins other than cut rates.
Yeah. You're saying if you hypothetically made a whole bunch of like 100 Hex stakes, max length, and it costs just as much to good accounting them, that would be like a way of burning without burning.
Yeah, because there's not even a burn function in the Hex contract. So you can't get rid of Hex. And once Hex has become minted, it is now part of the 3.69% inflation calculation. And so like there's really no actual way to burn Hex. Staking
other than staking.
Well, yeah. So staking, temporarily burns them, but then to permanently burn them, you would need them to be staked in, or to permanently burn them, and for users to know for a fact that they can't be undone, it would just need to be done through like a wrapper contract that doesn't have any function for ending the stake. And then, so that burns the hex. And then to burn the T-shares, meaning to actually not burn the T-shares,
Good
but
accounting
the
them.
T-shares that are permanent, that's where the small stakes that are too small, that are too many to run good accounting on, comes into play.
I wonder what he would say to that. It's interesting. I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about it because the new demand can easily wash over and outweigh temporary inflation issues. But yeah, when you're in a prolonged bear market, you start to get pissed off at the people rolling stakes permanently forever, even if the T-shares do make it so that they have less and less to dump.
Yeah.
But it's still.
And I wouldn't even say that's the main problem. The main problem are the pre-big payday ones.
Those are coming out though, because I think wasn't the average stake length back then like something like, I don't know. I remember checking and seeing that in years 4 and 5, the large majority of pre-big payday stakes are actually coming due. You can filter by all stakes made in the first year, and the biggest cluster, I think, I guess it's coming out right now.
I thought the big clusters were around 10 and 15, but there were big clusters basically every year. I'd have to look at those stakes, but like every day that goes by, those are stakes that, one, they got in at a much lower price, and two, they got in at a 60 to 70% lower share rate. And so, and because like the whole reason why and he even did like, that's why I like this now. If the reason why he staked was to cut rates, it wouldn't even be the first time he did it. He did it around big payday because big payday was just too large. And at the I'm surprised he didn't, because he just put it all into like 3-day stakes. I'm surprised he didn't like max length stake or something to cut that even further, because luckily that was timed at like the perfect time with like hysteria markets and like so Hex was able to eat that dip after big payday and keep running. But it's just kind of a different environment now. But like those big payday state, like the payouts are so big because only like 3% of the Bitcoin free, like that could have free claimed, was claimed.
Yeah.
And so I think they just thought that the Bitcoin participation would be much higher.
They underestimated the how much the Bitcoin maxi mentality.
Yeah, I remember even I like right before then, Trace Mayer, it was one of his last live interviews. He was there suggesting Hex was a scam. And so, he's probably one of the largest individual holders of Bitcoin, and he didn't participate.
Well, everybody that wanted to make their own thing is just eternally a scammer by any Bitcoin maxi. I mean, they hate on Charles, they hate on even Eric Voorhees, anyone that just tries to make a new coin. Like, it's okay. Progress is gonna happen.
I was fresh after the ICO wave, and so right now I think it's a little different, but still, I mean that core Bitcoin group is they're very what's that word, like
exclusive,
NIMBY, like they don't want things built nearby them.
They're like anti-innovation. I mean, like the last innovation you had, there's this guy Luke Dash Jr. who literally like on publicly comes out and like talks very hot, like extremely hostile towards any innovation. Like Bitcoin's fine the way it is. And it's like, all right, but then you can't be surprised when people build stuff that the market also wants more, like programmable smart contracts and lower gas fees and faster settlement time. Like, it's like you're shocked that Ethereum is around. I mean, it's incredibly useful. And so, but
I do think there's value, like there's value in things that kind of ossify and become permanent. But only like one thing can do that. So I think Bitcoin actually is the like the one, like of all things, like Ethereum I don't think can ossify things, but like because the core premise is like the strongest narrative in Bitcoin is the fixed supply. like the 21 million coins.
Mm.
And like, because that is such a strong piece, I think that just kind of sets a culture of like, this is how it is and this is the way it'll always be. And like, I think it actually hasn't proven wrong that, like they don't really cater to things being built on it, but it,
There's a lot of
now,
people trying this cycle. A lot
yeah,
of people.
and a lot of that is actually innovation from Ethereum stuff that's
Yeah.
kind of worked its way over there.
They're trying to slap BRC20s on, ordinals. They're trying to even have like a new node network where you can delegate your EVM node to a Bitcoin miner or something. Like there's all this crazy stuff. It seems like, a step backwards, for
Yeah.
progress. But I mean, look, if even the Bitcoiners, like a lot of them are getting tired of Bitcoin not doing anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I guess my answer to that is just like, if like you're going to have to, because I think that they're really sensitive to doing anything that increases the, just like the risk profile of the network.
Well, yeah, when you do have global adoption now, like there's a reason Jamie Dimon is so he's so hesitant, right? Because, and we could talk crap about Jamie Dimon, but think about it from his perspective. People that own the global financial system don't want to take a bet on something that might break, and Bitcoin actually had a bug one time. At 2 times, it actually did have a bug. And every time you update something, you introduce potentially more attack surface. So like, I don't know if Taproot is Taproot already there?
Yeah, I think that's what enabled the ordinals.
Right.
And there's something that used to be, I saw Eric Wall posting about it. He posted a funny music video about it. It's called OP Cat, which is something that actually used to exist in Bitcoin. And then I think Luke Dash he led an effort to remove it. But that is something for kind of more general purpose use of Bitcoin block space. But yeah, I mean, I think that also like they're like even things like wrapped Bitcoin just on EVM networks, like that's also a fine extension where like if you're gonna have to bear any type of risk in that setting, you're bearing the risk of the the custodian who kind of manages that issuance. And as far as I know, I don't think there have been any problems with the actual like custodianship of wrap BTC. And so
yeah, but I still wish there were more trustless solutions. Like I hate the fact that Ren project shut down. Ren protocol was awesome, and then they basically bent the knee. Or everyone got scared when the Tornado Cash dev was getting arrested. All the cool, in my opinion, like all the cool privacy tech, like they all shut down. You can't even use Ren BTC anymore. Last time I checked, yeah, their whole website went down when there's like a notice on their website, and it has to do with FTX somehow or something. But
wow, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, and then wrapped Bitcoin obviously is highly centralized. There's a single custodian and censorable. This probably doesn't make sense to people. Let's go back to the hex staking. Let's wrap that part up.
Yeah.
So the origin address stakes for 7 days. My only 2 cents is basically one, it's a signal to be like, hey, I'm still here. Yeah. Like, I almost think it's part of it is just to kind of like fuck with the markets a little bit and just be like, I wonder what happens if I, and there's people saying like, oh, where's Richard? Is he dead or something? It's like, no, man, I'm right here. Like, look what I can do. So it's almost a flex.
Keys, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a sign.
It's a flex to the SEC perhaps, but it's also, I mean, we'll see 6 more days and we'll see if it gets restaked.
Do you know when the last time that those coins said that anything had happened with those coins?
Do you know?
I assume it's because they all got moved during the sacrifice. But I don't know. Maybe it's a sign that he's back where maybe those keys were somewhere in the past that like he's been away from for a long time.
He's back on the throne. He had it under the couch cushion.
Yeah, it's shoved under.
Good to be home.
Yeah, so maybe it's a I'm back type of thing.
I'm sure it's some of that, and then it could be some of like market inflation. But yeah, time will tell. Yeah, he's probably watching right now. I don't know if he'll agree with the idea of inflation being too high, but it's plausible. I mean, you guys have done some projections. I haven't done any math on it, but it sounds like a decent idea, maybe. But you do also, you want those coins liquid in case of real world scenarios, I feel. Anyway, let's talk about what's actually going on right now in terms of mechanics. We got new mechanics in Pulse and PulseX to basically amplify the buy and burn of both PLS and PLSX. So when Richard launched Pump Tires, we saw the volume accelerate on chain. It tripled in one day. We saw $500,000 of PLS get burned so far in 4 or 5 days. And we saw the PLSX buy and burn ramp up. And I think it burnt 0.1% of supply in 4 days circulating. So that's incredible. You've got another thing that you just built, which is also why you're here, Quantum Raffle. So why don't you compare and contrast like the pump tire strategy to your strategy?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I guess over the last couple of months, I actually built out a new type of launch pad. It's kind of, solves like sniper proof stuff, and also kind of solves the problem of coins just like bleeding out because there's such like high rotation, so it just kind of helps, gives you like a max loss scenario, and then market kind of form around that. But it's funny, I decided not to launch that and shifted gears to build this kind of Raffle experience because in my mind, I think that kind of like the new coin, kind of the shit ticker rat race, what I call it. I think that's generally getting exhausted. I think that use case is kind of exhausted at this point. And so
are you just saying that because of Pump Fun, because everyone's exhausted on Pump Fun?
Yeah. So, and on other networks, and just like in general, like it's just so saturated. And so that was kind of, I thought that, that it's just kind of exhausting. And that's kind of went into the design of the Quantum Raffle, is that it kind of captures that similar type of gain and loss allocation, because like no matter how you cut it, a small number of, like if there's going to be big gains to be had, the only way that can happen is if it's like a large amount of people taking the risk and a small amount of people capturing that outcome. And so this is like a way to achieve that similar type of gain and loss allocation, but without kind of the stress of just like trying to trade, and two, not making it where like in like a new token launch, say like 1,000 things launch, a handful of them are going to be the big winners. Most of them are going to do nothing. But like the guy who bought early on the thing that performed well, it's like the outcome's already determined. Within minutes, who's going to have the most gain. And so Quantum Raffle kind of flips on its head, because the way Quantum Raffle works is that the prize pool builds up. It's $200K entry fee. 80% of that goes into a grand prize pool. 20% goes into something called the virality bonus. But the grand prize is distributed once 30 minutes goes by without any new raffle tickets sold. And the winners are the last person to enter, the 10th from last, the 100th from last, the 1,000th from last, 10,000th, based on however many people enter. So number of winners is number of digits in the total number of raffle tickets sold. And so what that does, it kind of flips that aspect of meme coin trading on its head, where like instead of the first guy who gets in being the one who captures the big, the grand prize, you can always put yourself in contention for that big gain. So like that's kind of the big, thing there, is that like, there's always a chance.
I like the math, I like how it's almost, what would you say, geometric or whatever. Where does the quantum come in? Is that just a fun word to say?
Fun, and they're actually like it kind of is that type of like the way that the grand prizes are allocated kind of has some like it mirrors some properties of how quantum systems work, where like where like where until the outcome is it's called observed, like until you measure the outcome, right. As soon as it's finalized, it's like there's what it exists as is just like a probability distribution. So every time you enter, it's like you enter into this, like
everybody's in a probability cloud until the moment that you look at the cat in the box. Yeah.
So it's like when you buy the raffle ticket, you kind of enter this superposition, like where you have a chance of winning, and then only once it's revealed do you determine where it is. And it's not like a random selection. It's like, you know, that logarithmic, like person number, like from like, so the last person, 10th from last, 100th from last, all the way up. So, so that's kind of the name there.
What's the URL?
quantumraffle.ai.
Oh, .ai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quantum and AI. All right, so everybody watching, I want you to go to quantumraffle.ai. Tell me what you like better, pump.tires or quantumraffle.ai. How do you prefer to gamble? It's very interesting. And I don't know, man. Some part of me is just like, I think people just want the novelty. They want new tickers and new pictures to look at. And they want to relate
I
to
think
something
there's a lot of
culturally.
entertainment value in the kind of the meme coin aspect. And I don't necessarily think that like, I think, you know, it's like, that's like, there's a reason why that's like the major use case of crypto. You know, with this, it's more like, I kind of posted about it for a while, but I'm trying to unpack what the next big meta is.
I
And
remember Big Buy button. This kind of branched off of
yeah, so
that.
that was like the prototype and like
Yeah.
kind of experiment that led to this. Basically, the difference between that and this is that this one has the virality bonus.
I like that part.
Which honestly, like, I think this premise, if this gets big enough, like the premise of this virality bonus, that could be like a big.
Well, here's the thing too. The virality bonus is one, and then the multitude of winners. Let's say you get like 10,000 participants. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, four buckets, 5 winners and whatever. They're probably, if they win like $20,000 off their little $20 entry ticket, they're probably going to be very loud about it. Have we seen any winners become ambassadors?
So this is the first round so far. It launched on Wednesday.
Oh, and it's still going?
Yeah.
So it actually has so people care a little.
So there's $13,000 in the grand prize pool, 3,200 in the virality bonus. So there's been about $16,200 of pulse. So over 300 million pulse has been deposited.
Jesus.
And
well, the reason that's cool is because for people that don't know, the raffle ends after what, 30 minutes of inactivity, which means there hasn't been a window of 30 minutes since yesterday where people haven't added to this. Look, I'm not going to gamble all my money away, but maybe I'll try it out.
Yeah, it's 200K pulse for an entry, and currently the prize per winner is about $3,000, a little more than 3,000, 3,200.
200K is what, like $10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So $10 raffle ticket, and the current grand prize is $3,200. The virality bonus. So kind of the way that works is that like when every time, so like when you buy a raffle ticket, you're grouped into a team based on what someone just bought. So it got down to like 8 minutes, and then now.
Why don't you wait, can you pull the chart up or the screen up just so we can see?
Yeah.
It would probably help as you're explaining it for people. Because yeah, the virality people also can win money.
Yeah,
just by referring.
The first 9 people that entered have already got back what they put in plus 40%. They've already claimed that.
Dang.
Because the way that this works is that when you buy a raffle ticket, you are grouped into these teams. So team 1 is tickets 1 through 9. Team 2 is 10 through 99. Team 3 is 100 through 999. Currently, it's filling up team 4, which is 1,000 through 9,999. So you're grouped into teams based on how many digits are in your raffle ticket. And so once a team fills up, it begins earning the virality bonus. So right now, team 4 is filling up. And so once team 4 fills up, 20% of their deposits go to team 1, 2, and 3 equally. So it's split into 3 amongst the teams, and then everyone in the teams splits that up. And so when it launched, there was actually like a race to get into the first 2 teams, because the lower number team you're on, the more you can earn. And that's to kind of balance out the property of the kind of logarithmic grand prize distribution, where the majority of the prizes go to the last couple of entrants. And so this is a way for like the early entrants to, have something, because they like kind of seed the prize pool. And so they get these bonuses based on the growth. And so the larger grows, like the I have a spreadsheet that kind of shows the like kind of the outcomes based on how large it is. The virality bonus is probably like where the most number of people are going to experience pretty big gains from the virality bonus. But the largest of gains,
20% of everything that goes into the virality pool, and that virality pool gets evenly fractionalized between every group. But because group 1 is the least people, you're splitting this 1/3 of 20% pot among only 10 people, and then they're more incentivized to be early, but then later people are more incentivized by the actual prize because there are more winners in the later ones.
Like if you look, like right now, if the game were to end, the winners would be 1634, 1625, 1535, and 635.
Right. That's just because if it's a raffle, more of them are going to be in the bigger pool. Yeah.
Well, no, that's because it's the last entrant, the 10th from last, the 100th from last, the 1,000th from last, and the 10,000. Like it goes on. So like 1, 10, 100. So like the last in the last 100 entrants, 3 out of those people are going to win the grand prize. So if the pool was 100,000 people, 3 of the winners are going to be in that last 10 or last 100 to get it, because it's the final person, 10th from last and 100th from last. So most of the grand prizes, like that's kind of the whole point, is that the grand prizes go to the late entrants more. I mean, it kind of, if it lines up with the early entrants. So like for someone on team 1 to win a grand prize, the final count would need to be like something like 10,001 or 100,001, because then 100,001 minus 100,000 is a team 1 person. So it's like the odds of a team 1 person winning are very low. Like it takes a very specific final count for team 1 to win. But to counteract that, that's where the virality bonus comes in.
I got you.
Yeah. And so
if you're in the last group, what if you're the first person in a new group and that group is the last group? That's really unlikely.
Yeah. So like the latest, because like right now, so team 3, like they start their first virality bonus comes once team 4 is fully filled. And so like, but team 1 got a bonus once team 2 was filled and once team 3 was filled. And now they'll get another one once team 4 is filled. So being earlier means you get more times where the bonus goes to you, and you're dividing over a smaller number of people. So it's like there's like a race to be early and also a race to be late in this game.
Well, so the potential grand prize winners, those numbers don't make sense to me then, if it's just last, 10th from last, 100 from last. Is that?
Mm-hmm. So like right now there's been 1,634 entries. And so 1,634. So imagine all the entries.
1,634, 1,620. Yeah, that's okay. It's minus 10, minus 100, minus 1,000.
It's minus 9, but that's because you include the like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like your 10th in line, that's the first one minus 9. So
very cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it kind of creates some potential outcomes where, like, right now the grand prize relative to the entry is about like 300x, but every entry the grand prize grows, but the number of people it's split over doesn't grow with that. Like it grows, but like only every order of magnitude. So like once it reaches 10,000, then it's split over 5 people. So if you plot the grand prize, it kind of goes like, it kind of has like a reset when a new winner's added, but it's always growing. And so once it becomes so large that it's like, and because you can always put yourself in contention, I think there's going to be like an escape velocity point that it can reach where it almost doesn't make sense not to enter, because if you have the chance at turning $10 into $1 million, why wouldn't you? Right now, turning $10 into $3,000, like that's attractive, but that's not like, guarantee, like you're not going to do it. Like
it's actually much better odds than the lottery though, because if your pool is only 10,000 people, that's but look, here's what I do wonder is like, are the winners gonna, like we've seen generally in pump tires, for example, like when somebody wins on a meme coin, they sell for Pulse and then they want to go back and play the game again. So I'm hoping the winners here don't just dump for dollars.
Yeah, I hope that they run it back because
Yeah.
like I mean, you know, because the way it works is like once it doesn't automatically start a new game, but you know there will be more. Like once the first, I think probably the biggest one ever is going to be the second game, is what I'm thinking. Like the first one's kind of, you know, people getting their bearings. Not really, not too many people know about this. Just people that I reach, and but then like I think once it's kind of proven, I think like round two possibly could be massive. And but also there's like a intermediate way that people kind of like when I've already seen it so far when people get their virality bonus payout, because the virality bonus you get in real time every single time that a team form like fully fills up, that's now claimable. And so there's already people who had claimed their virality bonus, just run it back and put it, just buy more tickets, because now it's like you basically are getting free tickets that are in slots that are higher odds of winning a grand prize. So like the virality bonus is also kind of a source of like continued tickets. And so if you like, that's one of the benefits of getting into one of the earlier teams is that you can have, you know, every order of magnitude growth on the entries, you can basically get new raffle tickets for free.
Yeah, and the virality bonus, I mean, it's in terms of the energy consumption to like put this back out to new people, it kind of explodes like the Big Bang, and then it kind of like tapers out over time as people realize, well, if we're on person 500,000, I don't really care about the virality bonus anymore because I'm not even in that group anymore. Unless guys 1 through 10 just are so incentivized to keep this going. Like, I wonder when this will end, and I wonder. I mean, wouldn't it be crazy if this just gets to a state where it just doesn't end? Like,
Like I thought about how it could conclude. Probably the most likely, I mean, most likely is that like at some point, maybe people just like, you know, the amount that they've budgeted towards like high risk things is, you know, once it kind of reaches that cap there, maybe. Two, another kind of theoretical limit is all of the user owned hex or user owned pulse supply. It's about 16 trillion pulse. And in that case, I have a spreadsheet. Where is in that case, the outcome would be something like, where is it? Prize math. So if 16 trillion pulse was the grand prize per winner, would be $100 million of pulse.
if it consumed the entire earth and like everybody.
It consumed all the coins that don't belong to Richard.
Yeah, that's insane, dude.
That's probably unlike, like, to me, I mean, already I think it's a success, like just, you know, small scale success. Like I'm totally happy with small scale success.
So, but those initial 10 people, if it starts to get successful, let's say they get into bucket 4, bucket 5, maybe they become more incentivized because they're like, holy crap, our bonus just keeps rising. Like, have you seen any of the initial 10 guys? Like, are they out there shilling it right now?
I think so. I mean, more and more people are kind of actively talking about it.
I mean, look, if you had like a small cabal of like 100 people in groups 1 and 2 that were just perma bullish on this thing and just shilling it far and wide, you could have the game last a long time.
So the way the rules were is that kind of to taper, because like group 1, like because their, you know, potential virality bonus is so much larger, it costs about $100 to be in team 1, and you can only buy 1 ticket at a time. But then after team 1 filled up, then team 2, it dropped down to the $10 price, and you could do as many as you wanted. But a lot of people whose transactions were trying to get into team 1 actually went into team 2. So there's actually, probably maybe on a future, I don't know, like it's hard to say what would be better to try to get more people, because you know, some people who tried getting on team 1, they ended up getting 10 units in team 2 because their transaction didn't go through in team 1, but they put forth the 2 million pulse purchase. And so once they got processed, team 2 was filling up. And so they just got 10 units of team 2. So like, it's probably about 20 people, because they filled up instantly. Like from the moment that it was turned on, within seconds, like within maybe 1 or 2 blocks, all the like it was already in like 100 and something people, or 100 something tickets. So yeah, I mean that I think is power, like that's kind of like the grand prize is one thing, but I think the virality, like this concept of like it could be like Nobel Prize worthy Ponzi-nomic type of like growth engine for like internet organization. Like,
Dude, can't you just snipe like the first 100 spots?
Yeah, but you're paying for it.
Yeah, you're paying for it, but let's say 100 spots times $10. That's only $1,000.
Yeah,
And then you're the guy. I mean, I guess you'd want more like Spartans on your team to go shill for it. Like you don't want to do it all alone.
yeah, that's kind
Like
of the balance. And
because it takes a lot of real effort. I don't think I mean, if people make AI bots and like shill bots for this,
yeah, I mean it's just
possibilities are endless.
yeah, I think there's people in the chat. There's like a group chat on Twitter where we talk about this, and there are already some really good ideas for kind of different implementations, kind of modified structure. But I don't know. I think there's something to this concept, and also what I'm really trying to figure out is like every cycle there's like a new way for people to take on risk to try to capture some gain, and the and it just kind of comes in a different form. It was like there was the like before like the Ethereum ICOs, there was kind of like 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 side chains or like you know different like blockchain use cases. Then it kind of boiled down to like applications on the blockchain that you would speculate on with the ICOs, and then it kind of went into like the DeFi stuff. And then NFTs was like another big kind of breakthrough of like new ways for gains and losses to be allocated. Now meme coins, like just new ways for people to decide who's going to get the gains and who's going to get the losses. And so I'm trying to figure out what that next meta is in gain and loss allocation. And so that's kind of where what went into this design. Is like, okay, like what if you strip out the concept of trading, but you keep some of the mechanics of Pareto type of principle where small number of people capture most of the gains, incentives to be early, incentives to be late, all those things to try to capture. And so kind of like tokenless speculation is kind of and it kind of looks like gambling in a way, but I think that like that's why I chose not to call it a lottery, because you're not going to win the lottery, but you've probably won a raffle one time in your life. Like you've probably gone somewhere and had your ticket called. So I think it's a raffle framing is a little different than like lottery, which like not a chance. And gambling, it's like there's like a house edge. In this case, there's really not a house edge. Like it's not even a fee. So it's like there's
Okay, we'll go with raffle.
Yeah,
I appreciate all the thought that you put into this. I think I encourage everybody to go read it. Read like the Notion site and go to quantumraffle.ai. When you figure out how this works, the dynamics are pretty interesting. I'm already thinking like how people might eventually game this. I mean, what if people copy this and drop it onto their own token, like their subcoin, right? What if people drop this onto, I don't know, PulseX or Hex, or you can do this with any coin.
Yeah.
And you could also like create an army of bots to shill it. Or I don't, what have you thought of in terms of ways people could kind of hack the system?
So I do have a version that's ERC20 compatible instead of just like native Pulse. The reason why I chose the native Pulse one first was that it just eliminates an approval step.
That's big.
So that's kind of part of it. And but so that's one. I think that like someone brought up the concept of pooling and running a bot that just like automatically enters. And I think maybe this could possibly be something that integrates into the workflow of validators and like kind of the block building mechanism, where like if the prize is so large and you have because like and maybe this can be like a test of validator decentralization. If we ever see the prize get so large that blocks come to a halt for 30 minutes so that the validator who's in the rotation, and maybe like they're colluding with like a group of validators, and they just like refuse to put forth transactions into the raffle other than their own, you know, kind of that type of like, you know, turning into like a measure of validator decentralization. That's one potential outcome. Different, like, so right now it's kind of all based on like base 10. You know, if you change it to base 12, so that would mean like groups 1, 12, 144,
Yeah.
2048, whatever that next. And so that kind of changes the dynamic of prizes, or like base 2 where it's 1, 2, 4, 8. Like, so lower base would mean more prize winners, smaller prizes. Larger base would mean less winners, bigger prizes. So different
I
scale.
like 10. I think stick with 10. It's the
Yeah,
magic number.
I like 10 too. It's a good, maybe if anything, 8 is also a good one too. Like 1, 8, 64.
What about
So
3?
3, 1, 3, 9,
9,
27.
81, 27, 81. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's other thing. I mean, using this as like a token launch mechanism, where like the supply is allocated based on the biggest losers. So it's like you either win the raffle or you get the most of the token supply. So that's another the contract actually tracks things like total deposits and total winnings as like a way that other contracts could read from this and allocate supply to.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't include a token because kind of the whole premise is that like trying to figure out what's a way to allocate gains and losses in like a speculative and engaging way that isn't just trading tokens. And so kind of adding a token I thought might have taken away from that effort. But yeah, there are a lot of ways to go with this. Right now there's 10 minutes left in, so it's been 20 minutes without an entry.
Wow. Guys, I think everyone should go check this out. How many? It's only been one day, huh?
Yeah, about 20, a little more than 24 hours. I mean, really, kind of secondary, like other than trying to kind of unpack like what the next like meta is in gain and loss allocation. I really want to turn. I really want this to be something that can help PulseChain grow, because I think the biggest problem is that at this point, they're like, I think in the past, like green candles were a really good marketing thing, but by now it's like there's green candles everywhere on every chain. There's green candles, and like, so people are so inundated with like just being shilled like new tickers that like it's really hard to break through the noise on that. And so like I using this as a different way to promote like the opportunities that are like uniquely on PulseChain. That was kind of a big reason why I, why this was made, was just to kind of, maybe like a $13,000 prize, maybe it's not attractive, but if it's like $1 million prize, like that could be a really strong like marketing push where like it's not just like shilling a ticker. Cause like I think like sometimes, at least the way I feel, sometimes like I'll get messages, someone's like, oh, like come buy this coin. It almost feels kind of predatory, because it's like, okay, I know you are like, you and everyone else already bought, and now like you want me to be the next buyer. And so like everyone's just like constantly being bombarded with like new tickers they should be buying. And so whereas this, it's like, hey, there's this big prize. And so like by nature, like by telling someone else about it, like, unless you have virality bonus is one thing, but like having someone else come and be in contention for the prize, I kind of take, so it's not like a direct kind of like, come be my exit liquidity. It's more like, come, share this opportunity with me. So that's kind of like, I think that this could be a way to break through some of that noise.
It's a bold idea. I mean, it's right. It's kind of totally out of left field for everybody that's just trading tickers, everybody that's chasing pump fund candles. And this is like a thing that, yeah, you're a little blurry.
I know my webcam is like autofocus and it just like doesn't work.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, this is just a totally new take. I appreciate anybody that's like coming up with genuinely new ideas. I haven't seen anybody do this take on a raffle or a lottery system. Yeah, the incentive for the virality is very interesting to see how that's going to take off in like a social setting in the real world.
Yeah.
What's been happening so far? Like, what's the feedback you've got?
I mean, the people that have participated are pretty compelled by it, and it seems like they're like here, I'm looking at like the analytics on my like in the like people are sitting on the site, and so the people that are aware of it are quite engaged, I think. And
what if you add a burn mechanism?
Like to burn the pulse or something?
Let's say like $1 of their entry gets burnt, or like 1%.
So I thought about that. And some other things to kind of like, I was more thinking of like ways to like benefit like gophers and maxi holders basically. But kind of the problem is that like, unless it's a lot of money, like I mean, maybe something like this, there's a lot of flexibility at like fee tolerance, but unless it's a ton of money, it's almost pointless. Like, say there's 10,000 people and then there's, $20,000 of revenue that can be shared or something. What is $2 per person? Like, so it's kind of pointless. And also like, I thought about kind of a burn thing as like more that benefit is like a marketing thing, because I think people just get on board with things that burn. But someone just bought. So
more flashy lights, dude. You need like fireworks and confetti.
I had confetti. It just caused it to be a little slow. Like maybe I'll have confetti back here.
Well, that background image is probably taking up a lot of the application, right?
The main thing that kind of eats up browser memory is the event listeners, just like constantly probing the RPC. So that's
I like the jiggling. It worked for pump fun.
Yeah, that's kind of
pump fun is almost just like offensively stimulating.
Yeah, it's like the whole like a new generation of kind of craziness, like where they just like need all that.
Yeah, it's like you should have like a seizure warning on that thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different. Probably if like on a, I mean, I'll probably do more just in the same contract before making any upgrades. But probably an upgrade, I thought making the virality bonus a little bigger. The original structure was 90-10, but then like switching to 80-20, like the percent change on the max grand prize, it's only like 1 over 9, but 100% increase on the virality bonus. And since more people experience virality bonus, that was bigger. So maybe even like increasing that, like maybe even like 50-50 or something crazy. Because like at some point, it's like, the grand prize pool, because it grows with each one, but the entry's fixed. At some point, it's still growing at a satisfactory rate relative to your entry. So I think there probably is some tolerance for a little bit larger. But in this one, I kept it as it was at 80-20 because I feel like the marketing message for like new users is going to be the grand prize pool. So just to kind of max out how that grows was that.
I mean, it's genuinely very interesting. I love the simplicity. I think good ideas should be simple, but it's also complex enough for people like me. Like I enjoy actually understanding the dynamics. Like I hope people are following exactly what you've been saying. Because when people can appreciate like the design of this thing, maybe they'll be more likely to propagate it outwards.
Yeah, hopefully the shit ticker rat race hasn't fried everyone's brains. Like,
Right.
I feel like it's fried mine in some ways.
A little bit. Yeah, I'm at this like almost just like fuck it point where I'm just like, it's all just fun and games now. Like if you want to go buy most token and best token, like I might dump on your head, like whatever, but it's I mean, it's a good thing to have to shill to people outside the ecosystem because you can still pitch them a concept. Hey, this coin is new. It is a meme coin from a appeal to authority figure. You guys like the Trump meme coin. You guys like celebrity meme coins. Richard Hart's a celebrity in his own way. So if you like buying shit coins, check out most and best. But I like that. It's kind of a little bit reinvigorating because I'm not in pump.tires all day long, like launching new tokens. I'm just like, all right, out of these million tokens, I'm picking these two.
Yeah.
These are my shill tokens.
Yeah, it's hard because that's also the thing, because things rotate from thing to thing, and like I've even experienced just kind of building things. Like it's hard to like well, I mean, like it's hard to only show like one. Like I want to be in a position where like I want to support a lot of things, because like I love levering up the risk and I love trying new things. And that's kind of been like something that I've like felt kind of restricted, like kind of building projects where a coin is related to it. Is it almost like pigeonholes you in there where you have to like only promote that thing, even though there's other good opportunities out there. And so like whereas like I don't necessarily care if like I don't need to be the only source of good opportunity for people. And so like that's why like I've been trying to, over the last like 6 months, really been trying to make efforts to kind of build things that they're kind of token agnostic, or like because it's like there's new opportunities all the time, and if you're stuck only shilling like the one, especially now that things are just so quick to growth, it was different in the past, but now like it's very different, where like it's like an uphill losing battle to like only be like only being focusing on like your own like I want to be in a position to like support other people too. And so that's kind of like why I've been trying to kind of break past just like token related stuff, even though that is like and part of that is because it's like right now it feels like peak like token hysteria. Like everyone who used to not be on board with shitcoins is now on board with shitcoins. So that's kind of my sign to like explore what's next, I guess.
Top signal.
Yeah, it's kind of a top signal of that as like a use case, which I don't think, I mean, this one, I don't think there's like a top. I think like NFTs kind of had a top, but this is like so pervasive, and like it already fit into a model that's existed forever, like trading assets and like pricing assets on a chart. So like I don't think it could like go away. Like NFTs kind of feel like they've gone. I mean, they're still there, but like it's not like how it was. Like all the speculations moved to meme coins. But like I'm intent on like from year 2025 through 2029. I'm intent on figuring out what that like next thing is, and potentially creating kind of that next format for on-chain speculation.
Well, I love that you built it on Pulse. First you could port this to any chain, and like you should toss a bridge link on here, dude. Like just for new people coming in, like bridge.pulsechain.com. Maybe even embed if you can embed the iframe or something. I don't know how that works. Probably not because it's IPFS.
Yeah, I don't know if IPFS allows itself to be iframed, but
or even go like pulseln.com has a nice widget because you can just buy PLS with Cash App or like Strike.
Yeah, I changed now. I was working on getting the like you have to have like a special account to get the fiat
an affiliate account,
but yeah, maybe a bridge link or even block blend. That one is like that's a really effective bridge that for like I know works well between Solana and PulseChain. So yeah, that's a good idea to put on the site. But the things that are coming to the site, so bridge, I'm gonna add that. Email alerts on it when time ticks down. I kind of have my own email alert, but and a couple people in the chat are now on the list, but I'm going to add like an email alert setup on this site, and then also some stats. There are a couple stats that I really want to look at, such as like average time between entries, like
Cool.
the
That should be a new page on the top.
yeah, like a stats kind of interface.
Oh, dude, stat bots, Twitter
Yeah,
bots.
well, I have a Twitter bot that's running. You just follow Quantum Raffle. You may already be following it because it used to be max length stake bot. I used to run a max length stake bot back in the
I
day.
remember that. Yeah.
And I actually turned it off because I did not want to suggest people to be max length staking solo due to the gas issues. So I actually turned it off a long time ago. So I rebranded it to be Quantum Raffle. So like, it's funny. I'm looking at, because there are people that follow it that I know for sure don't support me, and like I'm like modern. There are a handful of people that follow it that I'm like waiting for them to just unfollow.
I do remember that bot. Yeah, good times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's been so long. It's great. Like I feel like you and I, we first kind of got to know each other like almost 5 years ago at this point.
I think it was like right at the beginning. Yeah. Look where we're at now.
I know we're all grown up now.
Never a dull moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we were kind of the young guys in the.
Oh yeah, I feel like a fucking boomer now, dude. Like Gen Z here.
Like a year late to the meme coin trend, or
I still don't care. Like I still don't really care, about meme coins. It's just, it's fun. It's just I've got a bit more apathy now. Like,
yeah, which I think is good. Like, I mean, I think hexagons in general, like, traditionally have had really like relatively high risk appetite. There's kind of the kind of core people that like don't touch anything, but like, I mean, you see with all different sacrifice things that existed and just like all kinds of shit. Like there actually has been a really high participation in various alternative things, and so like the risk appetite I think has always been there. And like
it's very abnormal. The quality of people that we have here are a lot of like doers and people that take initiative to build stuff or start channels or whatever they do. That there's such a higher percentage of what's the word for that? People with a internal locus of control, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of agency to do stuff.
Yeah, agency. Yeah,
which I think is unique, and that's why, like, like I continue to like want to build on PulseChain. Is that like there's something here that other things don't have. There's things that we don't have that would be nice. Like there's things that other chains do have.
Like respect.
Respect, like a serious like business development budget and serious like engineering budget.
It's hard to get those budgets without dumping coins, man. It really is.
Or raising money, but like, I think like with the L2, like L2s can operate at such high margins that like it's almost like they don't need the coin. Like I think that like separating the coin issuance from like venture financing, that's like a big thing, because it's like if you're selling coins at an artificially low price to raise money to build something, then it puts you in position to where those early investors, it's like they don't need the price to pump because they just get
your chart forever. You've seen it over and over again.
Yeah, it's happening with Chain right now. It's happened a lot, but it's like those things. I saw a quote that really stuck with me. It's like L2s, they buy ETH block space at wholesale and sell it at retail, and so like they make like 50x markup on their cost of the block space. And so if those things are such high revenue drivers, like why does an L2 need to issue a token to VCs to like extract in that way where it's like more competitive? Because it like this, like the way that works, and same with like projects that pay in a token, it puts like say you're a like some project and like all your employees, they get paid in the coin. Every single time you're on payroll, now all your employees have to trade against each other, and they're all competitors. And so same with like VC. That's why like it's like a race to get out in some of these VC things, because like the VCs are competitors, and so if they all get their coins at the same time, it's like, you know, you against me, dude. And so it like, I think that like coins related to fundraising isn't like, because fundraising is good and having budgets is good, but issuing coins at a discount rate related to fundraising, I don't think is good.
Yeah. Well, you need some kind of recurring revenue. It'd be like you had a reliable way to route. I don't know. I mean, that's why exchanges make money. They're the fiat on ramps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they take 1%, and then you can actually participate in the success of the chain, not the demise. You can profit from onboarding, not like perma dumping, or not just getting new exit liquidity to feed to the meat grinder.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like if you're going to have the like VCs participate in the trading, maybe don't give them coins, but maybe like allocate some amount of funds that like go into some escrow account where now like, okay, like you can buy, you can like, this is set aside now go enter the market, and let
Just
the
give them a
VC,
referral code instead of coins, man. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
they should be your ambassadors. But I've just been, I've observed so many things just in the cryptoverse, and so many like insider deals and just close to where the money and the transactions actually are happening. And I'm like, wow, all these suspicions that you probably have are basically true. This is just like, people can't wait for an exit. And, you know, they're even among, you know, even among Series A and B investors, there's people getting pissed at each other that like, oh, you got your coins before me, or you got a slightly better deal and your cliff is longer or whatever. It's sad because nobody actually believes in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're trying to generate this hype. They pay for these rounds of PR. So you got like the CoinGecko newsletter. Oh, wonder why everyone's talking about Barachain the last 3 days. Like, because, you know, a couple $1 million went into pay off the crypto newsletters.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, kind of the benefit of that type of deployable budget. And that's, you know, I mean, PulseChain, like if I still am trying to figure out for myself what I think the sacrifice funds are. Like is that a like treasury to develop stuff, or is it just like coins that are there? Like,
it could theoretically leech off ETH and pump Pulse, you know, if it staked in Lido.
yeah.
But then I mean, it sounds like Richard Hart actually wants to help Ethereum. I mean, he's been very adamant about the narrative being symbiotic, not vampire attack. Even if it is somewhat of a vampire, he doesn't want to say that.
Yeah,
and
I think it's switched his tone from the past.
Right, because I mean, well, first of all, you get more flies with honey than vinegar, but also everybody was trying to be the
more
ETH
honey,
player.
you can't fly, right? Is that what you taught me?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't teach you that one in grade school, but no, I don't know.
Yeah,
he could kind of pillage Ethereum a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he's basically
dumping it down.
all the selling of the ETH Foundation. He kind of cashed them out. So why
but
not?
Now he's talking about L2s. He's talking about like, stop vampiring Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean,
look at how crazy the price went when he just moved a little bit of Hex OA coins. What if he just moves like 100 million ETH across the bridge and doesn't even do anything, and just everyone's anticipation of he might buy.
Even just for like the bridge metrics, like, because when like right now, like if I look at the Etherscan Omni bridge, so like right now there is, let's see, so like what I call dry powder assets, so stables and ETH, there's about $64 million of stable coins and $23 million of ETH. Like, that's kind of nothing. Like, Base has like,
I just checked it again too.
For a network, it's fairly small.
It's been getting lower.
Yeah, it's decreased, and I mean the value, because like, I mean, when you look at because so much of the value on there is hex going down causes like bridge net value down, and then ETH going down causes that down too. And so But like, even if he just moved a bunch of ETH onto PulseChain, even and did nothing with it, because like I do think that he's like, it's now been there's been more than one instance where he's basically provided exit liquidity and it's done nothing, and I think he's tired of that. One of it was right after the sacrifice, a bunch of Ren BTC went in, swapped for USDC, and then entered a hex liquidity position at like, I can't remember if it was 3 cents or 6 cents. And it just sat there like a low ball bid. It bounced off it for a while, but then just like yoinked through. And so like
killing it on fees the whole time.
Yeah, so it did collect a lot of fees, and that position still sits there, and the fees go unclaimed. But like that was kind of an instance of just like, you know, trying to provide buy pressure, but then it just like you just basically gave money away. Just got targeted, I think.
And well, also in theory, that was a bear market signal, you know, in retrospect, because obviously if Ethereum's done pumping and you have to shift the liquidity to be backed by stables over ETH, then times are changing. But no, I was talking about PulseX, or I was just observing the liquidity on PulseX, and I think I mistakenly said yesterday that the whole system is backed by like 60 million in stablecoins. It seems like people have pulled out their stablecoins, and it seems like there's only 20 to 30 million of stablecoins total backing all of this. Backing
PLX. Include those stable pools?
Oh, well, no. Let's see the stable pool. Stable pool is, I think that's like another $2 million. Yeah, okay. 2 million. So it's really not that crazy. Like if 30 million is backing this whole thing, and that's true with anybody, any TVL metric, right? A lot of it is inflated with its own coins. If you pair a bunch of, poop coins to poop coins, you can say, oh, we've got 1 billion TVL, but how much of that can exit for something that people can use in the world?
Yeah.
Well, in PulseChain case, it's about 30 million.
That's why I really try to focus in on the like realizable liquidity.
Stable coins on chain is a good metric.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, that would cause a lot of, because also I think just like the suspense of, because like in the past, like there have been those injections of funds which drove price up for a little bit, but then it just stopped, and then it just instant raced to the door and cleared out all of the gains that it made. But just like having it there, like almost is like, oh, like at any point this could pump any of these coins, even if it never does. I think just the suspense of having it there could be, exciting.
Yeah. I also think people need to use algo-backed stablecoins more, because I'm not liking where I'm seeing USDC going and Europe banning USDT, and it's going to become entirely centralized. I think you saw the Bitcoin mempool go to like 0 for the first time in years. Nobody's actually using Bitcoin. And if real Bitcoin, and no one's actually using Ethereum because everyone's using these cop out like centralized L2s.
Yeah.
And as far as the cypherpunk thing, like it's not good. And they're banning USDT in Europe. They're making USDC the central bank digital currency. I mean, I think JP Morgan's involved in Circle. I can kind of see where it's going. They want to ban DAI as well in Europe.
Oh, really?
They're delisting DAI. Yeah, stablecoin. From a lot of places because it doesn't meet their requirements.
It's collateralized with USDT.
Well, it's collateralized with USDC mostly, and some treasuries, I think. Now,
that's
DAI is centralized, right? Like,
that's just such a classic European governing style. Just like, taking pride in its regulations.
Yeah, but then the USA is going to export our regulations to them. Because because freedom, I don't know. It's just what we do.
Yeah. I'm excited. It feels so different. Like even like 2 years ago is kind of when it started feeling like, oh shit, crypto in the US may be highly neutered.
But not anymore.
Yeah. Now it's like opposite. So that's something to be thankful for.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm voting for Vance in 28, so let's keep this thing going. We're really only a couple of bad political moves away from like, I don't know. I don't want to sound the alarm or anything. I wish more people were using like USDL or, the Earn protocol tokens and stuff. If we got millions of people using the real asset-backed stablecoins, like we could have a sustainable ecosystem outside of anyone's control.
Yeah. Even
Oh,
like,
sorry. I mean, PDI, of course.
well, it was kind of that to me was one of the big things that stood out about the Pump Tires launch was how like the like just launching coins of the same names of various coins, and one of them was PDI.
Yeah.
Um,
One of
like
them was Hex. One of them was
yeah, well, I felt really bad, like because like I do think that at least like a handful of people that I kind of talk to or engage with who are really into PDI, like they earnestly want to make it happen,
yeah.
and they like it's like not a bad idea, but like I think that where it kind of breaks down is that the like even if the OA used all of its coins to try to collateralize vaults, the only way like the vault mechanism works is because the realizable value of those of the vaults themselves can support like the redemption and like the arbitrage cycle that keeps it pegged and like clears out bad debt. But if all of the ecosystem share like whatever you said, $60 million of stable coins, they're bridged, then like the the vaults can't support that. But like if the premise is that you can have high paper value that has enough energy to peg something, then why not just like replicate that high paper value? Like my suggestion was to fork PDI, change the admin key to be someone that you know is on board, and then create some other coin, mark up its value, like give it paper value, like a little bit of liquidity, mark the price up, hold all the rest of the coins liquid, high market value, and like if you actually think that low liquidity relative to like total diluted value, if you actually think that that can support a peg, then try it like in a
Yeah. I
smaller
mean, the
set.
moment you make one guy $100 million, he'll drain all the pools. So the second follow up to the theory is, you have to have probably deca millions of liquidity added to
Mhm.
PDI to sustain people exiting.
Yeah, and also like I don't think that OA or Richard or whoever will collateralize that, because collateralizing it basically means that you are offering to sell these coins at a discount. Because if you're over collateral, like if you're putting in like $150 per $100 of amount that's borrowed out into existence, you're basically suggesting that like this $150 amount I'm willing to sell in order uh, to back its value. So it's like I don't think that like putting forth coins in a situation where they can be sold is part of kind of the whole modus operandi of the what we've seen the last 5 years. Like, and so I think that like PDI, like or just DAI, like a algorithmic stablecoin on PulseChain is important. Um, but I don't necessarily think that the route to that is by relying on Richard to put all of his coins into those vaults. Is kind of where I
Yeah. But as long as the coins aren't there, you'll always have the optimism that maybe someday they will be.
yeah,
So,
which is kind of the powerful narrative like
and
that.
who am I to trash a narrative that I've actually seen bring in a lot of people, like
Oh
genuinely, like even
yeah,
smart people, like really, math guys and stuff. I'm like, okay, if you like
yeah.
PETA, it went
Like
up 10,000
I
X.
have some and I like it. I what's crazy is that I have traded a lot. Because there's a point in time, like right around PulseChain launch, where you could arbitrage a spread between PUSDT and PDI. And so I was
Yep.
arbing that spread. And so like I do regret kind of fading it. In my mind, I was like, oh well, like it can't peg because there's too many mechanisms that like would prevent it from ever reaching some value, and it has to drag up all these other
Yeah.
coins. But then I under indexed on the power of a narrative, and the power of people willing to suspend disbelief.
Hmm.
Um, and So that like I do it because I mean
It
that's
can
really
be
like.
used to, we can be used to our advantage.
Mhm.
I mean, if this is all just like a movie script and people are suspending disbelief and inventing what ifs, I've got plenty of them. Like, hey, Richard Hart created a meme coin. It's called Most Token. Pretty up, and that's actually not that much of a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first token created on pump tires
Mhm.
by the deployer who, if he's diamond handed, owns 80% of the supply, which is pretty rare for one of these memes.
Yeah.
For 80% of the supply to be locked.
Well, that's always it's always funny how in our ecosystem people are very tolerant of like high supply concentration because we've had a fine experience with that. Like that's not the source of our issues. Like
Right.
our issues are mainly PR related issues.
That's
and
actually true. That's actually very true.
and it's but like other thing like you know people use tools like on Solana to track if they've like bundled the supply on the pump fund launch and like they're very
Yeah.
sensitive to that. And so like in some ways like I kind of wish that we would move past like kind of like have it uh like RH or OA holding a lot of the supply to basically give it like a high market cap, but like it's really just kind of paper market cap where like because even though like the people who are already here and the people who've already had years of building rapport with Rich, like I started following Richard on Twitter in like 2017 maybe. So by
Yeah.
now it's like 8 years of rapport where like I understand what he's about, I know what's going on, and so like to me the concentration of ownership isn't an issue, but like that I know is that inhibits new people coming in who maybe they're coming from somewhere or coming from like a mindset where like that's like a non-starter. And
I mean,
so
it's even on the CoinMarketCap has a warning. Hey, beware of high FDV, low float coins because 90% of the time you should be aware of them because that means there's an insider VC cabal,
mhm.
permadumps.
Yeah, so I kind of wish we that could kind of be moved on from because I don't think the benefits outweigh the like if like our main thing is that like we need to be able to onboard new audiences and right now it's like more competitive than ever. Like it's very like a new person coming in having the choice between Solana, which they've heard about all over, they see everything, or like you know even like Ethereum, something that's been around for a long time. Like it's like the competitors are really tough, and so
I think a
making
lot of people have heard about PulseChain though. I wouldn't discount it. I mean, part of it is the controversy. People love it or hate it. They have an emotional reaction either way. I mean, I can't tell you how many like crazy emotional reactions I get just for wearing a Hex t-shirt out. You know, it's like a crypto event or like a
yeah
networking meetup, you know, like, oh, is that what? That's still around? I'm like, isn't that guy in jail? And these
yeah
and like, but there's also an equal amount of like super rich dudes out here that like I've never even met. And then I meet them and they're like, oh yeah, I got a bag of Pulse. Like, it's like, you know,
yeah
casual couple million in there. For them, it's not as big of a deal. And so I think we're undercounting how far we've come, but it is, you know, you always have the bias of looking at the winners.
yeah
And yes, we want to beat Solana and Ethereum, but as far as the winners go, that's kind of it. Solana, Ethereum, maybe Binance Smart Chain, like all these other chains have been around for so much longer too.
yeah
So for our age,
mhm,
relative to our public awareness, I think we're doing great.
yeah. I'm trying to think of like what else launched around the same time as PulseChain.
So much
It,
crap. ETHW.
yeah, base I know, and I mean that's kind of
Oh,
like
Base is another one because they have an exchange money.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
being part of a like a massive cash generating business. That's like a huge advantage.
oh, you know, Richard did say he wants to start an exchange one day.
Remember I remember him posting about buying an exchange. Imagine if you would have bought FTX.
Oh my God. What I mean, it's still not off the table.
Could
Is
be.
it? I don't know. I have no idea.
I saw something about SBF like he's trying to get I don't know a sentence reduced or just something like a pardon because they actually are I guess with the way that the distributions are going out that people are actually getting back like the majority of the money that they had lost on FTX.
Yeah, I heard he
Um,
was able to sell some of his holdings in other companies and basically break even everybody.
Yeah, like what he's saying is that like they would have been able to fix it had the company been allowed to continue operating. And he's claiming that like his legal advice to file, like to where the first step was to file bankruptcy, was completely wrong. And so he's trying to, say that like, yeah, like we were doing stuff wrong, but like we would have made it right had we been able to operate properly. So
Still don't
I
like
don't
him.
know. I think the PR around him, and that's just too widely known. I don't know if they'll kind of cater to him. They may, and because he was just such like a part of the soy team.
He's just such a weasel, dude. I don't
Yeah,
like looking at him.
I think if like if his name was like Brad Michaels maybe, but being Sam Bankman-Fried, I think, and just him looking the way he does, I think that like,
Bankman Freed.
yeah, yeah, it's I don't know if the current administration is going to help that guy.
Well, I mean, he's very connected. His mom and dad are very connected.
So, wow, someone just entered. Every time I look, it just keeps ratcheting back up.
Yeah, $250 million. Well, almost a third of a billion Pulse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right now the total deposits are, what is that?
Yeah, that is a third of a billion.
305, so like 345.
For no marketing, this is pretty successful for the first day.
Yeah, literally just me tweeting basically.
And it's only you. I mean, like, wait till the other people kind of catch on. I hope it works out.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope that like it like I really hope that it kind of breaks through. Like I think there's some threshold that it'll like once it hits that it like a real flywheel, because like right now it's like they kind of trickle in, and I've noticed people kind of playing a little bit of strategy. Like sometimes when one comes in, someone else will just instantly front run them. But I think that like that kind of 300 to 1 grand prize to entry. Well, I think once that gets like 1,000 to 1, maybe that's like, it'll really.
I like the timer counting down. I feel like maybe you could do more with the scarcity, the artificial scarcity of like, you only have 30 minutes. Hurry up.
Yeah. Making that clock, because right now the way it works is it just reads the block timestamp, and then and since blocks come every 10 seconds, the clock updates every 10 seconds.
Oh, that's cool.
And so
you're using the blockchain the way it was invented. It was originally a time chain.
Yeah, killer feature on blockchains is timestamps.
Yeah, it really is. It's like the ultimate clock.
Yeah. Well, actually, in some cases, it's not a reliable clock because there's variability, and like if you're the person building the block.
Oh, if two different conflicting blocks come up.
Well, it's more that you have like basically like a 20-second range that you can put forth a valid timestamp. So,
so it's a shitty clock.
Yeah, like a clock that is at least 20 seconds accurate.
It's a shitty clock that'll last until the end of time.
Yeah, and so like maybe the average time will converge to what the real time is.
Well, it'll last till the end of the internet.
Yeah, which could be how this concludes. Where like say it's like say a validator has entries, and then the time is winding down, and then they build a block, and then they like if the timestamp that the last entry is 30 minutes minus 20 seconds, they can like they have that range of allowed timestamps, so there could be some tomfoolery related to that. Or on this is another outcome that I didn't say. So the game there's like a max number of time, like a max number that the calculation for prizes can support. And so every time you deposit, it actually basically like does a dry, like I call it like a dry run of like the calculation to distribute prizes. And so like if it was to reach some massive number that would fill up a block and then cause it to brick, then the prize will be able to be distributed. So like it kind of makes sure that like on the deposit that all the things that the prize claiming piece has to do can still be done. And so it like guarantees that it won't like cause grand prizes not to be able to be claimed because of the number being so large and participation being so large that it fills up a full block. And so there actually is some max limit of numbers that can be.
Is it like, how big is it?
I'd have to really calculate what it is, but
is it bigger than 8 billion people? Like, is it bigger than the number of humans?
Yeah, it's like close to max UN 256, which is 2 to the 256.
That's pretty big,
and it's like way more than the total amount of pulse that exists.
Okay,
so way larger than the number of pulse that exists divided by 200K.
Wow.
Yeah. So we shall
just
see.
Imagine if all pulse
$13,000 prize pool. I wonder how many people have more than that amount of pulse. Probably 5,000 people.
That's a good point. What are there? 250,000 holders, but I mean, how many of them just have dust? Yeah. Most of them. Probably less than $1,000 in like over half the wallets.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, man. Is there anything you want to end on?
No, I mean, I think we covered it all. I had a really good time chatting with you today. We should do.
It's always a good talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a big brain dude.
Thanks. You too.
Yeah, guys, quantumraffle.ai. Go check it out. Go scream about it. Go get, but be nice to Dip Catcher. Come on.
Yeah, come on, guys.
He's trying to pump your bags, guys. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It might be controversial. I don't even know how this could really be controversial, but people are either going to use it or they're not going to use it, right? Like,
yeah,
if you don't like it, move on. But if you do like it, maybe there's some way you can try to game the system with you and 100 buddies and like take over team 1 and take over team 2, and then like no matter what, you're like already going to win because of the virality prize pool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I bet the next one will be big. Once this one does end, I don't know when it will end. I thought it could have ended last night. It was really slowing down, but there's somebody who just kept the gravy train rolling. I saw.
What if somebody just makes a bot where every time there's only 1 minute left?
That's probably what this person is doing, I think.
Like, because how many? You don't really have to put that much money in.
Yeah, I saw. I'll have to look closer, but I saw that like they had numerous ones in a row that were like 25 minutes apart. So that would mean that
they're waiting till 5 minutes, and if nobody,
yeah. So, but they didn't get all of them. Like in that time frame, there were others that entered, but
right
there was one that, which I think is quite aggressive. Actually, I think like 5 minute like.
It's still a long time.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's like maybe the game theory there is that like you want to just kind of force people to like not enter, and maybe the game that they're playing is it like maybe not trying to get the last one, but like trying to put themselves in good contention to be like 10 or 100. And so just as part of their like, and maybe they're taking like 25 minutes without one as a sign of slowing down, because like if 5 minutes is going by and there's new entries, then like it's quite active, but like maybe that's a sign that people are kind of getting exhausted. And so maybe that's like their strategy, not to like necessarily like end it, but using that as a sign of a time when it could potentially end soon. So maybe that's, but I don't know. I thought that was, it very well could be, it looked bot-ish, like in terms of the consistency. But And people have talked about making bots, and you can literally type into Chat GPT, like write a TypeScript function that will send ETH to this address if it reads from this contract and it says that the deadline is less than 5 minutes away.
Can it read websites? Can it read the website now and like assign? I know certain ones they can actually like certain AIs can browser.
Yeah, I don't know if it can read fully up to date websites, but it can write a contract that you can just paste into your text editor and then
wow,
run npm run, and it'll
I've
just
seen most of my friends are using Anthropic for that kind of stuff. You think ChatGPT?
Yeah, I use Claude for nearly. I use Claude for like coding related things, and I use ChatGPT for like cooking or like grilling related
yeah,
things, and like, you know, how to fix a leaky faucet, like shit like
right.
that.
It's the new Google, and then like
more domesticated things I'll use ChatGPT, but for like real production stuff I'll use Claude.
nice. What about V0?
Golki used that a lot. His work, he's like overtaking me in a lot of ways in terms of like web development stuff.
The amount of stuff that you can just have it do for you.
Oh yeah, because like he was already really good, like already on the cusp. And between he's V0 and Cursor, because like right now I'm kind of in like I'll use when I'm like inventing stuff, I don't really use the AI, like it can't really help me there, but like writing functions or like just kind of helper functions, or like in the Quantum Raffle contract, like I wrote it all, but I like things like, write a function that takes in a number and tells you if it's a power of 10, like things like that. I'll do because I know somewhere online that's answered, and then I test the function, and then I have it help me write the test cases. So like where it simulates like what happens, and like working through and like making sure that all the rules are actually enforced as intended. And so like kind of, but like the things that are like kind of things that are invented, that's like can't really use it. Like it's not that helpful for that, but like things to kind of just like kind of boilerplate stuff or like kind of nuts and bolts, it's quite useful. But then all the like front ends that I build on Anvil, partially just because I've been so locked in on Anvil for years, and that's like less conducive for using AI to help than using like Cursor and React and Next.js and integrating like V0. So Golki's like front end capabilities have drastically improved. Like of things that I built, this may actually be the last front end that I build. Maybe he's definitely at that point to like where like I could build a contract and then have him build the full front end. So but he uses V0 a lot.
Yeah, that one's getting pretty popular. I'm not a developer at all, but historically product, and now I just shill crypto on YouTube all day. So I don't know what you'd call that role exactly, but yeah, man, I think it looks awesome. I don't know, bridge link and fiat on ramp or whatever. Put like a buy button in the header, and that's all I can think of on first glance. It looks pretty clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm definitely gonna add that stuff. Wow, someone just entered again. Look at that.
Oh yeah, and more flashy, ADD stuff. I wonder if the usage of this platform will be like proportional to the Adderall prescriptions.
Yeah, maybe. I think the site needs to be a little more unhinged.
Yeah, dude, for real. You need some Pepe's on there. You need some.
Yeah, the world has descended into chaos, and I think that quantum.
Have you ever seen the website of ticker symbol Bitcoin? Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic, Inu.
No, I haven't.
Oh my! It's like the most retarded thing. You got to like, if you want unhinged. What is it? Let me see. It's
Harry
like
Potter,
you gotta look up
Sonic 10. Let me find the website.
Pull it up on the. Yeah, it's hpos10i.com. HPOS.
10i.
10i.com.
God, what kind of virus is she installing on my shit right now?
Yeah, this is peak peak graphic design right here. You have to accept terms and conditions that you agree that like Harry Potter Obama Sonic Inu is like the end of object and grab like space and time.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is
The mouse is a Harry Potter wand.
this cursor is nice.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna hop off, but thanks for having me on.
Yep.
Yeah,
Check it out,
awesome.
quantumraffle.ai. See you on the
Thanks,
next one.
y'all. Take care.